नामिने गौरतिसे नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरु दीनतारिणं श्रीपरमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। हरि बोल। The sound system setup was something like Rajasuya sacrifice. So much of endeavor. Hare Krishna. So today we'll be seeing a very wonderful topic. We'll be focusing on how Krishna is so expert in making the relationships very sweet. So we'll be seeing a philosophical concept, and we'll also see how it applies on a practical relevance. It has its practical relevance in our life. We have to call Krishna from Dwaraka. Hare Krishna. No, it's good now. So we will be focusing on one statement today, and we'll see how the statement applies to this verse, and also we will see what practical relevance it has in our life. The statement is, the quality of our relationships depends on what fuels the interdependence in it. So I repeat, the quality of our relationships depends on what fuels or what propels the interdependence in that relationship. So as we go, we will explain what it means. You see, in this world, every relationship is based on some interdependence or dependence. If there is nothing, then there is no relationship. Just like a man and woman, they have some interdependence, and that's why there is some relationship. Man is dependent on a woman for some emotional need, and the woman is dependent on the man for some physical needs, or vice versa, whatever it is. But there is some interdependence. Similarly, a businessman and a customer, there is an interdependence. The businessman needs the money, the customer needs the product. Similarly, there is an interdependence between the relationship between teacher and student. The student needs the knowledge, and the teacher has to give the knowledge. He has so much of knowledge he wants to give someone. So in this world, every relationship is based on certain interdependence. And once that interdependence is lost, the relationship is also lost. The gopis speak about this concept to Uddhava. When Uddhava comes with a letter of Krishna to Vrindavan, the gopis, they say that, you see, Uddhava, Krishna has proven about the nature of relationships of this world. When he was, having no one to depend for, he came to Vrindavan. And anyway, he found a good shelter here. And he got the love of Nanda, Yasoda, and all of us. And now, since Kamsa is gone now, and then he has got his parents, why he used to anyway think about Vrindavan? And then the gopis give example that just like when there are no fruits in a tree, the birds abandon the tree. Yes. When you do not have prasadam, guests don't come. We have a nakshatra, that's why so many people are coming. So, and when there is, the gopis say, when there is, the education is completed, the student leaves the teacher. And then the gopis speak the lightning bolt statement. And when the enjoyment is done, the man lusty after a woman leaves the woman. So in this world, the very relationship is based on certain interdependence. And if that interdependence is lost, relationship is lost. And that is why the quality of relationship is based on what is fueling that interdependence. Now, I have seen, to just give an example of how it is, I have seen my mother. My mother was extremely picky about what to purchase. And my mother would go to, my father would accompany me also when he would take my mother for shopping, because my mother would go so many shops. My father would be so frustrated that he would take me so that there is some company. And my mother will go to one shop, and then she would see, and my father will say, this is good sari for you, take it. My mother say, okay, let me see. And she will see all the shops for next 3 days. She will be scrutinizing all the shops, and finally after the 4th day she will come to that shop and purchase that first sari which my father had chosen, that this would be good. Now, in course of 3-4 years where I accompanied my father, all the shopkeepers in Bhubaneswar came to know what it is now, if this lady has come. Because they have to open now everything. You have seen how the sarees are kept within that polythene and all they will open it, and this lady will say, oh, ठीक है, this but border is not good, and this the design is not good, and the entire shop will be opened. And my mother will not purchase anything. So with all the shopkeepers understanding and not showing anything to mother, or not giving interest because they have known over the years, there was one shopkeeper who was always very smiling and blissful. I used to wonder, how come this shopkeeper is different? This is something like unalloyed devotion. But later on, I came to know that this shopkeeper's son used to study under my father. And that is why this shopkeeper was so much loving and caring. So the interdependence has to be there for a material relationship to sustain. Anywhere you see any material relationship, you have to understand there is some interdependence. So, now, whenever any material relationship thrives, there is also not just an interdependence or exchange of what you need from the person, there is also an exchange how much you tolerate the other person. Right? So, because of which it creates a lot of emotional frustration to tolerate. And that's why when the emotional frustration rises, the person feels that इस दुनिया से और क्या लेना देना. He gets such emotionally frustrated or disoriented that detachment comes in his heart. A detachment that I just don't want to tolerate now. It's enough. No. How nice it would be If I am not interdependent, I am independent. This thrive for emotional independence is there in the living entity, and there the living entity finds, oh, I am a spirit soul. I don't depend on anyone. I am Satchidananda. Like I remember one man who had gone through a couple of divorces. First time he got married and then there was divorce, and second time he got married and there was divorce, and third time he's still looking, and again got frustrated with another girl. So he had put in his WhatsApp status, uh, the statement was, don't look for the happiness outside. The entire ocean of happiness is waving within you. Looks a very spiritually realizing statement, but it has a history. The history of a emotional frustration. So the Jnani's endeavor towards spiritual realization is more of a disoriented emotional frustration from this material world. And Niti, I don't want this, I don't want this, I have enough tolerated all this, I have enough tolerated a man or a woman or a this or a that, so many things of all these relationships. And that's how they, when they get the knowledge of the soul, like we also read the knowledge of soul, but we read the knowledge of a soul from a different perspective. But when the Jnanis read the knowledge of soul, oh, you don't need anyone. You don't need anything of this world. Maunam charanti vijane na parartha nishtaha. I have now got this knowledge of the soul, and I have realized that I don't need anyone or anything. I am Atmaram. So then the person endeavors or thrives for an independence, especially independence from being dependent on someone for your happiness. So the soul has a nature, Anandamaya Abhyasad. It cannot get rid of that nature. But he sees that to fulfill this need of Anandamaya, the soul is thinking, if I have to depend on someone, my goodness, I have to tolerate also. How nice it would be, how glamorous it would be if I am just independent. I don't have to depend on anyone for my happiness. I am Atmaram. So this concept of Atmaram for the monist and for the Jnanis is, it originates from an emotional frustration of trying to derive happiness from this world. And that's how sometimes Srila Prabhupada explains that Bimukta Maninas and Aruhya Patha, sometimes they get down also, because that has arisen from an emotional frustration. So, now when these Jnanis, we are not talking about Mayavadis, when these Brahmavadis, they see Krishna. Now let's discuss about Krishna. And we have discussed about the spirit soul in material world, trying to derive happiness and getting frustrated and aspiring or striving for an emotional independence. Now let's see Krishna. The soul may think that I am Atmaram, but Krishna is Atmaram. Yes? Krishna is Atmaram. We may have Bimukta Manina. We may think that we have become Atmaram. Even the souls which merge. I was reading how the Gop Kumar goes to the Brahma Jyoti, which is called as Mahakalpur. When Gop Kumar goes to Mahakalpur, there's a lot of souls. They actually feel happiness. But that happiness is very, very, what do you say? Inconceivable. But that has arisen from an emotional frustration. So the Jnanis, even if they attain the Brahma Jyoti and They can only think that they are Atmaram because they are dependent on Krishna for that creation of that Brahmajyoti also. Correct? But Krishna is truly Atmaram. Krishna doesn't need anyone or any of us. When Brahma Bimohan Leela happened, Brahma actually saw that how millions and trillions of Brahmas are just worshipping Krishna, and Krishna has expanded into so many Narayan forms. Similarly, when there is no one to become the Indra in this world, Krishna becomes Indra. When there is no one to become Brahma, Krishna becomes Brahma. That means Krishna doesn't need anyone, not even a lady. To create an offspring, Krishna doesn't even need a lady. Can you imagine, just from the lotus, from the navel, a lotus comes out and Krishna creates. So Krishna is truly Atmaram, but though he is truly Atmaram, he allows himself to become dependent, to become interdependent with his devotees. And this is the quality of Krishna that attracts the Atmaramas of the world also. Sukadeva Goswami says in the second canto, Parinishthitopi Nairgunya. I was having such nishtha for Nairgunya, for this Atmaram behavior. But as soon as I heard about Krishna's pastimes, Uttama Sloka Leelaya, then I got my Chetana got such attracted. Grihita Cheta Rajarishe. Sukadeva Goswami says, just like a graha, it engrosses another graha, or just like Rahu engrosses moon, my entire Chetana got completely engrossed and encapsulated by Krishna's wonderful nature. And what is that wonderful nature that these Atmaramas are attracted for? That look, I am an Atmaram. I have been striving for emotional independence and I have achieved a state of emotional independence. And this Krishna, he is he is independent. He is not to be dependent on anyone. Still, he makes himself dependent. Like Sukadeva Goswami, when he was just meditating on the Brahman, he actually heard one woodcutter singing this sloka from Srimad Bhagvatam. That famous sloka, Kamba Dayalum Saranam Brajema. What more kind person I will take shelter? Such a kind person that Putana came to kill him, but he gave him the service of a mother. Can you? Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Now just imagine, even the most desperate, destitute for motherly love would not make Putana as his mother. We had in our IIT Kharagpur one neighbor who used to always shout whenever kirtans used to happen. And she would shout so much. Why you are doing kirtan? Why you are doing kirtan? And we had branded her as Putana auntie. I don't know where is she now? She's still living or don't know. So she was branded as Putana auntie. So Putana is a character. If someone is asked, will you make Putana as your mother? Even the most desperate person for motherly love would never want Putana as his mother. But when these Atma Ramas, these monists, they see, I am an Atma Ram, at least I would never think of relating with Putana. Huh? And this person is the leader of all Atmarams, and he is running after Putana and making Putana as mother. My goodness, what is this person? So you have to understand how. See, for us to get attracted to Krishna is very easy, but for such people who have given up all relationships, when they see Krishna's display of such pastimes, and that's how Sukadeva Goswami says, Atma Ramascha Munayo Nigrantha Apyurukrame Kurvanti Ahetukim Bhaktim Itham Bhuto Guna Hari. That this guna, this quality of Krishna, this quality that he makes himself interdependent to not just Yasoda, to a personality like Putana, to a personality like Kubja. Can you imagine telling Kubja? Actually, Krishna made that first remark to Kubja. I think you are the most beautiful lady in the entire Mathura. I don't know if it was sarcasm or whatever it is. But making Kubja or accepting the service from Kubja, accepting the service of Putana and making them get elevated to a platform where all the devotees glorify them. So that is what is Krishna's quality that even the Atma Ramas are attracted for. When I give corporate seminars, there is one concept which has become very famous in corporate because of lot of firing and the jobs have become so insecure. So there is a concept called the linchpin factor. I don't know how many of you know about it. You might be knowing about the linchpin. So the linchpin is, you have seen sometimes the wheel, and in the wheel there is an axle, and in order to keep the wheel with the axle, there is a small pin like this. It's just done like this, and then there is a two. How many of you are able to figure out? Yeah, Amar Kishore, because he is a technical person. So this is called the linchpin. So if the linchpin goes out, even if the wheel is all right, the axle is all right, the wheel comes out and everything is gone. Correct? So the entire stability of the cart is based on that small linchpin. And nowadays, the corporate, everyone wants to make their CV the linchpin. When I join a company, I should become such a linchpin that the company will not be able to throw me out. That's the endeavor. Make yourself the linchpin of the company, the indispensable. Now, Krishna knows that he is the singular linchpin of the entire universe. But the Atma Ramas, they get attracted to Krishna, understand, because Krishna makes you feel that you are his linchpin in his life. And that is the quality of Krishna, that Krishna makes you feel that you are indispensable. Though Krishna knows that he is independent, and the living entity, he knows that Krishna is independent, I am simply dependent. But Krishna will make his pastimes behave in such a way that you will feel, your heart will get completely charmed and attracted, as if you are not there, what will happen to Krishna? So in this context of today's verse, that's how Krishna actually charms the heart of everyone. So the previous chapter is called Lord Krishna's daily activities. So we have read in the Vedas and the scriptures, Natasya karyam karanam cha vidyate. There is no work for Krishna. So what is the work for Krishna? This is his work, that he just wants to reciprocate love. And the quality of the relationships that Krishna, you see, when you have When everyone knows that you don't need anyone, it's very difficult to relate with him. And it's very difficult for the person also to relate with anyone. Because I am fully convinced, I don't know, I don't need anything. And the living entity, the others are also convinced, isko to kuch bhi nahi chahiye. Ye to self-sufficient. But still if there is a relation, that relation, the quality of relation is completely spiritual. So Krishna has made the spirit soul completely independent. Satchidananda. Okay, that may be minute independence is there. And Krishna himself is supremely independent. But the relationship between the soul and the super soul is based on love. And that is that quality of relationship where the soul and the super soul does not interact for any of the needs, but just to interact for love. In this particular context, we see the same principle that is being explained that we discussed. That how Krishna charms the heart of everyone by his behavior of making you feel that you are indispensable. You see, Uddhava, here Srila Prabhupada's disciples, or actually Vishwanath Chakravarti writes like that for Krishna, he is so intelligent. He is the source of all intelligence. And he is asking Uddhava, you please tell me what to be done. I am now perplexed. I am not understanding. My Yadu fellows, the Yadu leaders are telling I should go and fight and recover the kings. And Narada is telling, go to Rajasuya. Uddhava, such a big confusion for me. Just imagine Krishna getting confused. But Krishna, and it's not that Krishna was acting like confused. Krishna was really confused. I don't know how it can be, but that is the act of Yogamaya. And sometimes someone is acting, अरे क्या आपको पता है सब कुछ क्या है. But Krishna was not just acting. When he enters the pastimes, he actually is within the pastime. He is confused. And he is begging Uddhava that get me rid of the confusion. Just so that everyone glorifies Uddhava. So here comes the practical relevance of what philosophical point we just discussed. The philosophical point is Krishna is Atmaram, but he makes you feel so indispensable as if his entire happiness, as if his entire life is dependent on him, on you only, sorry. And this is the philosophical concept that charms the hearts of everyone, that charms the heart of even the Atmaramas. But the practical application is that you see here in this particular context, Krishna is acting as the leader of the Yadus. And as a leader, the practical lesson that we can learn is, now comes the practical lesson. A quality, now we discussed about the quality of relationships. The quality of relationship is based on the quality of interdependence. The quality of a leader is not known by how he shines in this world, but how he makes his subordinates outshine him. Everyone able to get? So the quality of a leader is not known by how much he is shining in this world, but how he empowers his subordinates to outshine him. So in this particular concept, in this particular context, the same philosophical thing that Krishna always wants to make you feel indispensable as a leader on a practical level, Krishna is showing how that he is empowering Uddhava to outshine him in the entire assembly, where all the Yadu leaders understand, सही में Kya bola? Right? So this is the quality of a leader, and that's how we see Lord Ramachandra, how he empowered Hanuman. He made him outshine him. Yes? In this world, no leader would want to outshine him. No leader would want his subordinates to outshine him. But Lord Ramachandra, Srila Prabhupada used to say that he constructed a bridge and he empowered Hanuman to just jump off. And in this same story, Krishna empowered Bhima to kill Jarasandha, but though he himself was 17 times defeated by Jarasandha. So this is the quality of a leader, and spiritual leadership in the Guru Paramparas we see is based on this same quality of how the leaders want to empower the subordinates to outshine them. So starting from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this story comes in Madhya Leela in the 16th chapter, where Nityananda Prabhu had gone to Jagannath Puri, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is calling Nityananda Prabhu and saying, Prativarsha Nilachale Tumina Asiva. You don't come to Nilachal every year. Gaude rahi mora ichha safala kariva. You stay in the Gauda and you fulfill my ichha. Taha siddhi kare hai na anyana dekhibe. You have the power to do something which I cannot do. Amar duskarma karma toma hoite hai. Though that which I cannot do, you can do. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, in the incarnation of God Nitai, Lord Chaitanya is not supposed to kill demons, but is supposed to deliver them by preaching Krishna consciousness. But in the case of 𝐂𝐻𝐈𝐍, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so angry that he would have immediately killed them. But Nityananda Prabhu was so kind that he not only saved them from death, but elevated them to a transcendental position. Thus, what was not possible for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was carried out by Nityananda Prabhu. Similarly, if one is true to God Nitai's service in the disciplic succession, he can even excel Nityananda Prabhu's service. This is the process of disciplic succession. Nityananda Prabhu delivered 𝐂𝐻𝐈𝐍, but a servant of Nityananda Prabhu, by his grace, can deliver many thousands of 𝐂𝐻𝐈𝐍s. That is the special benediction of the disciplic succession. So the Guru Parampara carries this mood of Krishna, that we will empower the next generation in such a way that they do some service which outshines all of us. And this is the mood that comes from Krishna, which is applied so practically in the Guru Parampara and manifests as spiritual leadership. Where a leader, he empowers his subordinates to actually outshine him. And when yesterday Maharaj was giving a talk, in the end, I was just thinking about the same thing. Maharaj was telling how the Srila Prabhupada's disciples asked him that Bhakti Vinod Thakur could have done the entire thing. And Srila Prabhupada, out of humility, said, actually he left it for me. And similarly, Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they could have done everything, but they have left it for us. So, Srila Prabhupada's disciples have, Maharaj was telling all the temples, and I was just thinking, yes, all the temples are erected in different parts. And, and just imagine, actually, the love that flows out from the hearts of all the Srila Prabhupada's disciples, it's unimaginable. It's the highest expression of a disciple's surrender to spiritual master. In our entire Guru Parampara, if you see Srila Prabhupada's disciples, their surrender to Srila Prabhupada is an epitome. The way Tamal Krishna Maharaj, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj surrendered, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, the way they have surrendered to the instructions of Srila Prabhupada is really revolutionary. And just imagine how much their heart would be feeling that their spiritual master's birthplace, there is no temple. But still, they are leaving this service for all of us, just so that they can empower us to outshine them. We don't want. But this is the mood of Krishna coming down in the Guru Parampara. For all the Srila Prabhupada's disciples who are currently in the planet, for them to build this temple in Srila Prabhupada's birthplace is nothing. It's a simple thing. But they are coming and begging to us, requesting us, please, thanking us for being here, just so that they can give that credit to all of us. Otherwise, for them, it is not a very difficult task. And this is the mood that is coming down from Krishna, which is so nicely portrayed in this purport, that how Krishna as a leader, he behaves in such a way that he will make his subordinates feel, and not just feel, experience that feeling and factor of indispensable nature. And that's how everyone is simply charmed by Krishna. Where Krishna, he just says that na pare ham, I cannot repay the debt that I owe to my devotees, and especially the gopis. So we must understand that how much loving and caring, how much, how wonderful is the Lord. And what a serious, grievous and horrible mistake we have done in not understanding such a Lord properly. Where he simply wants that everyone becomes more greater than him, more outside him. So this is the practical relevance that we can learn from this purport, that how the entire disciplic succession is carrying seriously this mood of Krishna. And how, if we really want to empower anyone, and how if we really want to do something, and if we really want to represent the Guru Parampara, we must also carry in our heart this feeling of making each and every devotee feel that they are indispensable member of our community. Then actually this community will become a spiritual community centered around the heart of Krishna. Krishna's heart is, he behaves in such a way. We do not have to behave in our, we are like that. Krishna is Atmaram, but he behaves in a way that makes devotees feel indispensable. But we are not like that. We are actually dependent on devotees. But how much subjugated by illusion, we feel that we are indispensable and these devotees just. So this is the central figure for building a Krishna conscious community, is to first understand what is Krishna's heart. Krishna, though he is so chatur, he can resolve all dilemmas, he can do all actions, but he is making Uddhava feel indispensable within the community of Yadus. And that's how to create a spiritual community, each one of us have to understand and really live to this principle that each and every devotee is an indispensable member. If he leaves, then the community remains vacuum. So when we understand this heart of Krishna, then actually we are representing and following the Guru Parampara. Srila Prabhu, when Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there was a big temple opening, and in that temple opening, just before that, there was some issue with one brahmachari. He had done something and then he had left, and he had gone to making some watches in some watch shop, and he had left. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had come, and all the preparations for the temple opening was happening and everything. And somehow Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur understood, where is that devotee? He's not visible. And then all the temple presidents and whoever the leaders were there, we don't know. I think we gave him some punishment or some discipline, and he has left. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, I have spent the gallons of blood to make one devotee, and he just left, and you are so casually telling he left. And he actually stopped the entire, the installation ceremony. And then he ordered everyone find out, and where they will find out where he has gone. He has gone now. And that time there was no WhatsApp, no social media connects, where to find out a person. And somehow some devotee realized that he was a watchmaker before joining the ashram. So they started searching all the watch making shops, and finally they found that person within one person, and they brought him. And that brahmachari later on went on to become sannyasi, and he used to cry tears, understanding the same emotion that Krishna is exhibiting here with Uddhava, that how my Gurudev, though I was actually committed a mistake, it's not that the brahmachari didn't commit a mistake, he committed a mistake, but how my Gurudev made me feel an indispensable member of his community and sangha of devotees. And that's how that empowered him to give up all his bad things and become a sannyasi, lifelong. So we have to understand the power in terms of relationships. Definitely the relationship depends on how we make each other feel indispensable. The quality of our relationship depends on how we make each other feel indispensable. But not just in terms of relationship, we can understand the power that lies hidden within this feeling when that is permeated within a community. So to summarize, we began with how Krishna how every relationship is based on certain interdependence. And if that interdependence is lost, relationship is lost. But Krishna is Atmaram, and the soul is also Atmaram in a finite way, or in an infinitesimal way. But though that Krishna is Atmaram, he makes every soul feel an indispensable part and whole of him. And that actually charms the heart of the living entity so much that they become so attracted that a person like Sukadeva Goswami, Nairigunya apin parinishthite. Nishtha matlab steadiness. Parinistha matlab supreme steadiness. So much so that Sukadeva Goswami would not even stay in front of a house more time than the milking of a cow. That's what is Srimad Bhagavatam says. That is parinistha in detachment. But even that Sukdev Goswami got attracted to Krishna, where Krishna made Putana feel that if you do not become my mother, then what would be my life? Kamba dayalum saranam brajema. So in this way, the same mood comes and is reflected in the Guru Parampara. And in this context, we discussed how Krishna is behaving as a leader, and we discussed about spiritual leadership, how Krishna is making Uddhava feel indispensable, and spiritual leadership means to make everyone feel that indispensable member or factor. And that is how a spiritual leader, he doesn't want to shine in this world, he wants to make others outshine him. And that's how we read how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made Nityananda Prabhu outshine him. How Nityananda Prabhu made Bhakti Vinod Thakur and the Sada Goswamis outshine him. And how the Sada Goswamis and Bhakti Vinod Thakur, they empowered Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur to outshine him, and Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur empowered Srila Prabhupada to outshine him, and how Srila Prabhupada actually, who initiated just 5,000 disciples, and all the disciples of Srila Prabhupada have initiated more than lakhs. How Srila Prabhupada empowered his disciples to outshine him, and how his disciples are also carrying the same mood of Srila Prabhupada, how they can do everything, but they also have that mood of making others outshine them. So this is the heart and core of a spiritual community. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Krishna Bhagwan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga ki, Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.